Gear up.
Gear up.
He pulled away from us and started to rotate. And in this case, there was something immediately not right.
The climb is unusually steep.
What's going on with that aircraft?
It was almost stuttering in the air.
Keep on that. Get the nose down!
I'm trying.
The plane is suddenly uncontrollable. The nose won't drop.
My airplane!
In a matter of seconds, the crew is in emergency mode. If they can't get the nose down fast, the plane will stall.
We have a developing story, as you may have heard. There is a civilian Learjet.
News of a rogue Learjet flying hundreds of miles off course has captivated the nation.
The FAA began tracking an aircraft in distress. The president was made aware of this situation this morning in a meeting with his economic advisors.
Ben's in here.
Experts at the National Transportation Safety Board are notified of the escalating emergency.
Give me a map. Okay.
Once the air traffic control system realized the aircraft had gone rogue, so to speak, the next step is to try to figure out why. It's either being hijacked or it's malfunctioned, the crew has been incapacitated somehow.
Controllers scramble F-16 fighters to track down the wayward Learjet. Jim Tidball has come up with a rough calculation of where the plane will run out of fuel.
My best guess is South Dakota, possibly North Dakota. I can't say more than that.
Let's hope he's right. With any luck, they won't hit anything.
In the air, the F-16 pilots have caught up with the rogue plane. The windows of the aircraft provide an ominous clue.
No movement and the windows covered in frost.
The Learjet is now a ghost plane.
Can we narrow down the crash site anymore?
With no hope for the passengers and crew, the only focus now is on where the plane will come down. According to calculations, the jet is almost out of fuel. At 10 minutes past 12, it happens. The Learjet carrying Payne Stewart and 5 other people is falling from the sky.
They're going down. They're going down.
Where's it gonna hit?
The F-16 attempts to follow, but the plane disappears into the clouds. It drops below the radar.
Center, I've got a crash site.
Payne Stewart's Learjet has slammed into a hayfield in South Dakota. There are no survivors.
Can you breathe? No. Okay.
Could the emergency oxygen system have somehow failed? For crash investigators, the oxygen masks should have given the crew enough air to breathe until they could land the plane. Benson scours the Learjet's maintenance records.
Looks like everything was working fine.
He discovers that on several previous flights, the Learjet's crew used the masks without any problems.
We did determine that the oxygen was on board and the crew could have used it. So now the question became, why didn't they use supplemental oxygen?
Time to take a new approach. Set us to climb, please.
Investigators need to learn more about what happened on board the Learjet after the crew's last radio call. They hope a simulation of the flight will help.
There goes the cabin altitude warning. Start the clock.
You've got maybe 15 seconds to do something once you become in a environment that's almost eliminated with oxygen.
Emergency checklist. Got it.
I think all of us sort of had in our heads that you're going to put your oxygen mask on as the first and immediate action item.
The simulated loss of cabin pressure leads Benson to an astounding discovery. The first item on the emergency checklist is not put on oxygen masks.
At 10,000 plus or minus 500 feet cabin altitude, control pressure to the outflow valve is trapped. This deactivates the automatic mode and stops cabin altitude from rising higher if the failure is in the automatic control system. I can't believe we still haven't put our oxygen masks on.
We were surprised because it implied pretty strongly that you need to troubleshoot a pressurization problem, and if you can't fix it, then you don your oxygen masks.
Okay, shut it down. I think I know what happened.
Investigators now have a theory about what went wrong on board the Learjet.
Everything is fine till about 24,000 feet. Then something causes the plane to lose pressure. But before they can solve the problem, the crew loses consciousness.
The Lear checklist, in a sense, a very real sense, could lead a crew astray.
Without those masks on, they wouldn't stand a chance.
The FAA is quick to respond. Put on oxygen masks is now the first item on the checklist, not just for Learjets, but for every similar plane in the sky. It's 9:35 a.m., and traffic into Washington is getting congested.
I was on my way from my parish to the Arlington National Cemetery for a graveside service.
Father Stephen McGraw is stuck on a freeway right beside the Pentagon.
I took that exit actually because I knew that the Pentagon was near Arlington National Cemetery, and I couldn't remember how to get to Arlington National, so I thought I can't be that far off. I'll take this exit. But in front of the building, there ended up being standstill traffic. And then without warning, there was a rush, feeling the vibrations or the sound. I just know there was an overwhelming sense of something coming over the tops of our cars. The plane clipped a light pole as it went over the highway, and I turned instinctively to my right, and to see just in time the plane coming in and just crashing into the building right in front of my eyes. There were these two huge billows of fire that came out of the two top windows of the Pentagon, and the fireballs just kind of billowed out.
The symbol of U.S. military might is now in flames. Smoke pours from a gaping 90-foot wide hole in the Pentagon's west wall. One entire section of the building has collapsed.
I had not heard anything about the World Trade Center crashes. Didn't have my radio on, hadn't heard anything. And so I just assumed that this was an accident.
There's no chance that any of the 64 people aboard the plane have survived the impact. And there are sure to be many more dead among Pentagon staff. Father McGraw rushes towards the devastation. He wants to help anyone he can.
And we're coming to one man in particular. He said, "What is your name?"
I'm Father McGraw. I'll stay with you.
And he said, "I'm Catholic." And so I actually gave him, in those moments, the sacraments, and anointed him on his forehead with the blessed oil, the oil of the sick. And when I did that, I remember saying to him, "I tell you, Jesus is with you now."
9/11 shook us to our core. Anybody that was of age during that time It's like the Kennedy assassination. Where were you on 9/11? And everybody has their story. It has marked our generation.
It was a win for the bad guys, and we can't let that happen again.
The 9/11 attacks bring immediate and profound change to commercial aviation, both in the U.S. and around the world.
The situation for airport security, airplane security was a lot different prior to 9/11 than it is today.
Just 2 months after the attacks, the U.S. government creates the Transportation Security Administration, or TSA.
The federal government took direct responsibility for aviation security, and the screeners are now federal employees. The training certainly has improved.
The TSA brings in strict new rules on what travelers can carry on planes. Airports start screening passengers with full body scanning machines. There are also major changes to onboard security.
The cockpit doors. I mean, it's not just the door, the whole bulkhead on the aircraft has been made darn near impregnable. It's bulletproof, you can't get through the locks.
But perhaps the most important change to security has come not from new rules or better technology, but from the permanently altered attitudes of airline passengers everywhere.
Today, the assumption by passengers, if they feel threatened with hijacking, is not one of compliance.
You saw somebody in the back of the plane get up and say, start screaming things running to the front of the plane. You have a choice of sitting in your seat and minding your own business, or you have the option of standing up saying, I guarantee you're going to stand up. The paradigm has changed.
Rotate.
At 8:20 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77 gets underway. At 8:46, Flight 77 reaches cruising altitude, 35,000 feet.
American 77, turn right 10 degrees, vectors for traffic.
On the ground, air traffic controllers guide the 757.
Turn right, American 77.
"34 minutes into the flight, controllers notice something odd.
What are you guys doing?
Flight 77 is veering off course.
American 77, center. American 77, radio check.
2 minutes later, their concern turns to alarm.
77, radio check.
Flight 77 has vanished from their radar.
Center calling American 77, American 77.
Their concern grows with each second of silence.
Center.
Then, just after 9 a.m., a call comes in from American Airlines that's almost impossible for controllers to digest. Thousands of people are feared dead. Lower Manhattan is in chaos. The fate of the missing 757 is now much more worrying. What if it hasn't crashed somewhere in the Midwest?
We need to find that plane. Supervisor. I've got a target tracking eastbound at a high rate of speed.
At 9:32, more than half an hour after losing contact with the plane, controllers spot a mysterious radar return. If it is Flight 77, it means the plane has turned around back towards Washington.
We gotta warn DC.
America's capital could be the next target.
Go for 06. Do you have a commercial aircraft in sight?
Controllers recruit another pilot to try to learn more. They radio the only other plane in the immediate airspace, a C-130 cargo plane from nearby Andrews Air Force Base.
Looks like an American Airlines 757.
It's got to be our plane. Center calling American 77. American 77.
But the 757 is ignoring all radio calls. And it's heading straight for Washington.
Sunjet 282, proceed directly to runway, backtrack, and hold.
Los Rodeos Airport on the Spanish island of Tenerife is busier than it's ever been.
BA 783, hold short of the runway and stand by for taxi clearance.
With so many planes parked in the taxiways, the controllers instruct departing flights to taxi along the airport's only runway to get into position for takeoff. One of the planes waiting to get to Las Palmas is Pan Am Flight 1736. The Pan Am crew is ready to get back in the air, but they can't taxi to the runway. A KLM 747 has stopped in front of them to refuel.
Tenerife, KLM 4805, you finished refueling, requesting clearance for startup.
He said, follow KLM down a runway, backtrack, make an exit to get around back of KLM. So that's what we were doing.
First Officer Bragg is unfamiliar with the airport. He checks a runway diagram to help find their turn.
Okay, that's this one right here.
Goes ahead. It's going to put us on the taxiway.
As they taxi, they listen to the tower controller tell the KLM crew ahead of them what to do after departure.
You are clear to the Papa Beacon. Climb to and maintain flight level 90. Right turn after takeoff.
Roger, clear to the Papa Beacon. Flight level 90, right turn out. We are now at takeoff.
Okay, stand by for takeoff. I will call you.
And we're still taxiing down
The runway, Clipper 1736.
Papa Alpha 1736, report runway clear.
Okay, we'll report when we're clear.
Thank you.
The Pan Am crew will be turning off the runway in just a few more yards. But now something's wrong. First Officer Bragg can see a plane through the fog.
I think he's moving.
Look at him. That idiot's coming.
Saw KLM too.
Get off. Get off!
Captain Grubbs tries to steer clear of the oncoming KLM. But it's bearing down on them at nearly 200 miles an hour.
He had lifted off the runway. I could see his rotating beacon underneath.
Get off, get off, get off! Get off, get off, get off!
And then I ducked and said a real quick prayer, trying to hope he misses us.
China Airlines Flight 120 is on final approach for landing. They're now less than a minute from the runway.
T20, 10.
It's a textbook landing. All that's left for the China Airlines pilots is to park the plane.
Engine start levers.
Engine start levers cut off.
With the engines off, they can finally relax.
Hey, what is this?
What's happening?
Just when they thought they were safely parked,
Cockpit, ground. Number 2 engine fire.
a radio call alerts them to an urgent danger. Their plane is on fire.
Attention crew on station. Attention crew on station.
Dynasty 120, we are calling a fire truck. Remain standby.
We have wheel fire, please. Slap lever.
The pilots know they need to get their passengers off the plane before flames reach the fuel tanks. But they can't open the cabin doors yet.
Engine fire warning switches. Override.
They must follow an evacuation checklist. Finally, the pilots are ready to open the doors.
Evacuation required now. Required.
No pushing, no pushing. Please keep moving forward.
But it will take time for all 157 passengers to make it to the exit. George Ishizaki is watching the unfolding disaster from inside the airport terminal.
I just happened to have my camcorder with me. I thought, oh my God, what is happening?
The plane has been burning for close to 3 minutes. It could explode at any moment.
Captain, all passengers are evacuated. You're the last one.
Typically, the captain will stay until everybody's off, and he will verify that the airplane is empty.
The pilots have put their passengers' safety first. But now, it may be too late for them.
You're gonna have to climb up to the window. You first.
Sir.
All 737 cockpits are equipped with an emergency escape rope. It's designed to help pilots exit through the side window. But it's no easy maneuver. Then, fire on an airplane can quickly become lethal. Incredibly, on Flight 120, all 165 people on board have escaped unharmed.
I've never heard of any evacuation where somebody wasn't hurt. To get this many people off in such a dire circumstance in a very short period of time with no injuries is miraculous.
In one of the busiest weeks of summer, Proteus Airlines Flight 706 heads to the coast of Brittany, western France. Flight 706 left Lyon Airport a little more than an hour ago. They're on schedule to land at Lorient in approximately 20 minutes. The twin-engine Beechcraft 1900D can carry 19 passengers. Today, they're in for a treat. The rare chance to see a treasured piece of French maritime history, a luxury ocean liner formerly known as the SS France. They descend to 2,000 feet and begin circling the ship. Without any warning, a private Cessna hit the Beechcraft. Investigators believe they understand the unusual sequence of events that led to tragedy in the sky over Quiberon Bay.
Okay. I think we now know what happened.
The Beechcraft is nearing the airport in Lorient. At the request of a passenger, the captain asks to deviate from the flight path.
06, and one little special request to fly slightly west over Quiberon Bay, sir.
They decide to take a look at the ocean liner La France.
Proteus Airlines Flight 706 diverts over the bay and descends to 3,700 feet.
Once near the ship, they decide to descend to get a closer look. But to go below 3,700 feet, they cancel instrument flight rules and go visual.
706, Lorient confirmed.
Now the Beechcraft is in uncontrolled airspace, below radar. With no guidance from air traffic control, it's up to the captain to visually scan for nearby planes.
There's a Cessna.
And once at 2,000 feet, they decide to do a 360-degree turn around the ship.
With the 360 almost complete, the pilots begin to prepare for landing at Lorient.
At the same moment, the Cessna is approaching from the right.
The Cessna does not have its transponder on, and is communicating on a different radio frequency from the Beechcraft. The banked angle of the Beechcraft, combined with the fact that the pilot responsible for scanning the skies was sitting in the left seat, make the approaching Cessna impossible to see.
They can see only sky out of the right-hand side of the plane.
By terrible coincidence, the Cessna pilot can't see the Beechcraft either.
At the last moment, the Beechcraft comes out of the blind spot, and it's too late.
No!
It's a cold winter's evening at Stapleton Airport in Denver, Colorado. Captain Stephen Silver and First Officer Ralph Harvey are just about ready for takeoff.
Hey, everybody seated?
Yep, everybody's in.
No good outside?
Walk around was all clear.
Trans-Colorado Flight 2286 is a short hop to Durango-La Plata County Airport in southern Colorado.
Listen, when we get to Durango, I'd like to get in the air again as quickly as possible.
Shouldn't be a problem. We won't need to refuel.
It's the crew's fourth flight of the day, and they're running late. Bad weather has put them 40 minutes behind schedule.
Trans-Colorado 2286, you are cleared for takeoff.
2286, clear for takeoff. Thank you.
Captain Silver is in command. First Officer Harvey will operate the controls for this flight, leaving the captain free to handle radio calls.
Takeoff power.
100.
The captain keeps an eye on the airspeed as they accelerate for takeoff.
V1. And rotate.
The crew's day began in Denver. After 2 short hops to Riverton and Casper, Wyoming, they circled back to Denver. Now they're headed for Durango, a route that takes them over the southern Rocky Mountains. About 20 minutes from the airport, the captain and the first officer review the landing.
So we're still doing the straight into runway 20, okay?
Runway 20, sounds good.
Control, we'll plan on a DME to runway 20.
That's approved. Trans-Colorado 2286, cleared for runway 20 approach at Durango Airport.
Like many small airports in America, Durango does not have its own air traffic control. The controller is in Denver, more than 200 miles away.
Speed set. 1/4 flaps.
1/4 flaps.
The pilots work quickly to prepare for landing.
Gear down.
Gear down. 3 green.
Do you have the runway?
Something's wrong. The pilots can't see the runway.
Damn, we're too low.
Pull up!
No. Hold on.
Of the 17 people on board, the crash has killed 9, including both pilots. It's a sunny morning at Barcelona Airport in Spain.
After start checklist, anti-ice.
Anti-ice off.
Rudder trim.
Rudder trim is 0.
The crew of Germanwings Flight 9525 is preparing for departure.
Flight attendants, please take your seats for takeoff.
Captain Patrick Sondenheimer is a former Lufthansa first officer who recently transferred to Germanwings. First Officer Andreas Lubitz, who's been with the airline for just over a year, will handle the flying.
Cleared for takeoff, 07 right.
Germanwings 9525.
Take off thrust.
Just after 10 a.m., Germanwings Flight 9525 gets airborne. They're heading northeast over the Gulf of Lyon towards the French Alps. They should be in Dusseldorf in just over 2 hours. 27 minutes into the flight, the plane reaches its cruising altitude of 38,000 feet.
Marseille, Germanwings 9525.
And the flight level 380.
Air traffic control in Marseille tracks the plane as it crosses France. 4 minutes later, the controller in Marseille notices something odd.
German wings, Marseille. Confirm what cruising altitude you're cleared for.
Flight 9525 is descending without permission.
German wings, this is Marseille. Come in, please.
You've got a problem here. German wings, unresponsive, descending rapidly.
The plane is dropping steadily. In just minutes, it's lost 10,000 feet. The control center is now on emergency mode.
Now approaching 25,000 feet.
The Airbus is hurtling downwards at maximum operating speed, an astonishing 350 knots.
German wings, come in.
Lima, Echo, X-ray, relay from Marseille. I need you to try and contact German wings 9525. What is their situation?
The plane has dropped below 7,000 feet. The towering mountains loom closer. It's been 10 minutes with no radio contact, an eternity for controllers.
Pull up. Too low. Terrain.
We've lost contact.
The plane is now too low to be detected by radar.
Pull up. Too low.
A Boeing 737 cruises high above the islands of Indonesia. The crew of Garuda Indonesia 421 is about halfway through a short domestic flight.
We were at 28,000 feet on the way to Adi Sucipto Airport in Yogyakarta.
Captain Abdul Rozak is a senior pilot with Indonesia's national airline.
How does the weather look in Yogyakarta?
His first officer is Harry Gunawan.
Should be fine, but there might be a bit of rain.
I had flown several times with Harry Gunawan, so it was nothing new. We knew each other quite well.
January is the rainy season, when the weather is unpredictable.
Let's avoid that south. Say, heading 300. Control? Garuda
421, request heading 300 to avoid some weather up ahead.
Garuda 421 confirmed, heading 300. Fly direct to Bravo Alpha NDB after clearing weather.
Air traffic control authorizes a slight course correction to steer the plane around some looming clouds. But soon, more large storm clouds appear in their path.
What do you think?
I could see the green, yellow, and red on the radar, and I knew that the safest route would be towards the green.
But moments later, the weather is suddenly much worse.
Where did this come from?
The captain spots a serious problem.
Yes, sir. 1 and 2 are dropping.
They're suddenly losing engine power. Captain Rozak struggles to keep the plane steady as the altitude starts to drop. With his plane falling fast and no other option in sight, Captain Rozak decides to do something few pilots have ever tried.
Okay, the river then. It's our best chance.
Yes, sir. Tell me what to do.
No gear, no flaps. Watch my speed.
The Solo River is narrow and twisting. Ditching a 737 on it won't be easy.
Speed! 170, sir.
That'll do.
As they line up with the river, First Officer Gunawan notices another problem.
There's another bridge.
Altitude?
250.
Bridge can't be more than 80 feet. We're good.
It turns out I had to land the plane between two bridges.
150.
One in the cabin. Brace for landing.
Brace for landing.
Brace for landing. Everyone, brace for landing.
Flight 421 hits the water at almost 200 miles an hour. Of the 60 passengers and crew on board, all but one make it out alive. AirAsia Flight 8501 cruises high above the Java Sea north of Indonesia. The pilot in command is 53-year-old Captain Irianto. He's highly experienced with more than 20,000 hours in the air. His first officer is French national Rémy Emmanuel Plaizel. He is 46 with about 2,000 flight hours, much of it on the Airbus. 22 minutes into the flight, the pilots notice bad weather ahead on their radar. The captain decides to increase altitude to go above the storm clouds in their path.
I'm gonna radio for a higher cruise, get around that weather. Good idea.
But before the captain can contact air traffic control, he gets a fault warning from the flight computer.
ECAM actions?
The plane's sophisticated computers give the pilot step-by-step instructions on how to fix the issue. The pilots now notice that the plane is rolling sharply left.
Level. Okay, level.
Something is going terribly wrong with Flight 8501. The first officer is struggling.
Level.
But soon the plane is rolling again.
Level. I'm trying.
The pilots can't seem to regain control.
It's not responding. Pull down. It's not correcting.
The plane seems to have taken on a life of its own. It climbs higher and higher as the pilots fight to level off. Then, inexplicably, the plane starts to drop.
Altitude. I see it.
Flight 8501 is plummeting from the sky, speeding toward the ocean below. It seems the pilots can do nothing to save their plane.
Pull! It's not correcting. What's going on? Max power. Slowly.
"43 minutes into what should have been a normal 2-hour flight. AirAsia Flight 8501 disappears from radar.
Pull! I'm trying. Pull! It's not correcting.
Of the 162 passengers and crew, there are no survivors. Bagram Airfield in northeastern Afghanistan. It's a hive of activity.
Bagram, ground, ISAF. 9-5. Alpha Quebec, ready to taxi.
The crew of National Airlines Flight 102 is on the last leg of a grueling shift. The flight plan has taken it from Châteauroux, France to Camp Bastion, Afghanistan, where the crew loaded up to 207,000 pounds of cargo. They were supposed to take it straight to Dubai, but were rerouted via Bagram. Finally, at 3:25 p.m., they're cleared for takeoff.
9-5 Alpha Quebec, runway 3, full length.
Runway 3 is verified.
Prepare for departure.
The first officer is at the controls for this final leg. They're scheduled to arrive in Dubai in 2.5 hours. At that same moment, military journalist Stephen Hartoff is on the base's perimeter road, returning from a day's work taking photographs for a magazine.
We decided we were going to go get something to eat, and I saw off to the left of the truck a white and purple 747. And I remember thinking, this is a beautiful airplane because it looked brand new.
V1, rotate.
Gear up.
Gear up.
He pulled away from us and started to rotate. And in this case, there was something immediately not right.
The climb is unusually steep.
What's going on with that aircraft?
It was almost stuttering in the air.
Keep on that. Get the nose down!
I'm trying.
The plane is suddenly uncontrollable. The nose won't drop.
airplane!
In a matter of seconds, the crew is in emergency mode. If they can't get the nose down fast, the plane will stall. For a moment, the plane hangs in the air suspended.
And then the aircraft seemed to sort of careen in our direction. Now you're looking at a big 747 coming at you.
Stop the car.
And then it completely foundered and stalled. And I remember thinking, he's lost all his engines.
Don't sink. Don't sink.
And in a very slow motion, it just went straight down and pancaked into the ground. The explosion was enormous.